Hey buddy, watch this.
Hello, the name is Regis Kilbin, and the game is Heroes of the Storm. And today we're going to take a look at my Ultimate Rehgar build version 2.0. Now, if you didn't know, Rehgar experienced some pretty major changes over the last couple weeks. He was essentially buffed into being the best hero in the game, and he's actually been tuned back down a little bit, but he still remains the best hero in the game. And some of his core talents and functionalities have changed so much that my previous Ultimate Rehgar build is really no longer valid at all. So this is an updated version of the best way to play Rehgar. And this build is really all about your W ability, Lightning Shield, and buffing it in various ways, making it an absolute monster of an effect that's good on both yourself or any melee characters on your team, primarily tanks who can really dive hard and cause a lot of chaos and keep enemies around them. It just pumps out tons of damage. It offers a huge shield, as you can see, and it gets better over time, making it a just absolute dominant ability. And you'll notice that the build is heavily focused around that shield effect. So the way you play this Rehgar is still very similar to the previous way you played my Ultimate Rehgar build. That's in people's face. You want to constantly be switching to wolf form and attacking to both secure kills and get in the way, protecting your squishier characters, because Rehgar does have a fair amount of health and can cause some problems when he's up in people's face. He was given Feral Lunge by default, of course, so you can now use your lunge attack anytime. You don't have to spec forward at level 13 like I recommended in my previous build. So that's a key part of his character now, and you really do need to learn when to use that lunge and who to target and how to do so safely. Once you master that, Rehgar really becomes an insane hero, because his heals and his shields and even his crowd control with Earthbind Totem is even better. So he has utility, he has support, he even has some aggression, making him something like a combination of Lieutenant Morales and Illidan all bundled into a single hero. So, without further delay, let's go ahead and run through the build real quickly. It's Electric Charge, Stormcaller, Blood and Thunder, Ancestral Healing, Earth Shield, Rising Storm, and then finally Storm Shield. And now in a little more detail, starting with Electric Charge. This increases the radius of Lightning Shield by 33%. Now, as I mentioned, Lightning Shield became the most important ability in Rehgar's kit, whereas before it kind of felt like the secondary ability, and really it was all about your chain heal and your ancestral healing. But now Lightning Storm is where it's at, and this effect makes it much bigger. You'll notice how large the circle is here. Essentially, that means you're much more likely to just clip different heroes or minions, really any kind of target, more regularly with this effect. So when your tank dives in and starts causing chaos, they're just as likely to hit the Jaina or Kael'thas in the back line as they are that Diablo in the front line. Meaning, if they can get in there and stay in a group and hit 3 or 4 heroes, this thing is pumping out so much damage, 132 damage per second to nearby enemies at level 20. That's absolutely crazy, and it adds up so fast. It's something like a flame strike every few seconds, just because you can hit so many different targets, right? So, moving on to level 4, yet another talent that buffs Lightning Shield, and that is Stormcaller. Reduces Lightning Shield's mana cost from 60 to 35, and increases the duration by 2 seconds. So it almost cuts the mana cost in half, which is nice when you're going to be keeping this ability up pretty much constantly. But that's really not the big benefit here. The nicer benefit is that it increases the duration by 2 seconds. So you'll note that it stays up almost as long as the cooldown itself. So it's about to pop off and the cooldown is almost ready. So you can pretty much keep Lightning Shield up constantly, and then many occasions you'll want to do exactly that, which is very nice when you have no downtime on this ability. If you can keep it on yourself or your tank and stay in people's faces, it's just unrelenting damage. Now, used to, many people would pick Feral Heart at this tier, just because it keeps up with your mana regen. Anytime you go in Wolf, you get more mana, you get more health, it keeps you more active and fluid. You can move around the map with ease. And that was super nice, and it's still a pretty good talent. But Stormcaller still gives you some of those mana benefits, and the increased duration is just so strong right now with all the powerful effects that Lightning Shield has, that it's certainly worth the upgrade and the change here. Moving on to level 7, I'm going to recommend Blood and Thunder. Ghost Wolf attacks reduce basic ability cooldowns by 2 seconds. So anytime, let's actually use some abilities. Anytime we Ghost Wolf, we'll note those abilities, you saw them jump from 4 to 2 seconds there. That's pretty huge when you should constantly be switching into Ghost Wolf form every time that it's up. When you're in a fight, if you're able to attack safely at all, you should be doing that and attacking a little bit, and then going into Wolf. And every time you're resetting those cooldowns by 2 seconds, or reducing those cooldowns by 2 seconds, which means you're cutting Chain Heal down by something like 20% or 22.5% or something like that. Lightning Shield, you're cutting it down a quarter of its cooldown. When you can use these more regularly like that, the impact is huge. And since Rehgar is given Feral Lunge, you really should be attacking pretty often. You don't always want to attack, but even once or twice in a skirmish or in a team fight, getting out a heal 2 seconds sooner, that might add up to 1 extra heal throughout the course of a fight, or maybe even 2 extra heals if you get off 2 cooldown reductions in a 30-40 second little skirmish. So don't overlook the value that this can provide. Now, a lot of people will pick Cleanse, and that's still the right choice in certain compositions if the enemy team has a lot of really scary crowd control and you need to protect your team. Cleanse can do that, but for more general utility, Blood and Thunder is going to give you the most bite for your bark, if you will. Moving on to level 10, it's still going to be Ancestral Healing. This is just one of the best heals in the game. You do need to learn the timing, of course, but when it hits big, it can swing fights and win games. Bloodlust is better than it used to be, and Ancestral is actually a little worse than it used to be as far as cooldown is concerned, but still the superior choice. Rehgar is a healer first and foremost, even though he's got a little bit of Illidan in him these days. Moving on to level 13, Earth Shield. Lightning Shield gives a shield that absorbs damage equal to 15% of that hero's maximum health for 3 seconds, so you'll see the shield pop up there. We go from 4,500 basically to almost 5,200, so it's nearly a 700 point shield for Rehgar. If you imagine it being on a Diablo or a Johanna or a Stitches with lots and lots of stacks, or a Cho'Gall, you can see that that shield is 1,000 plus points of health, which is absolutely enormous, right? You can just really make someone tanky even when they're not, and you can make them especially a tanky if they've already got lots of health. So this gives you extra damage mitigation in fights, and you're already going to be casting Lightning Shield probably on those tanks anyway. So the 15% is fantastic. Do keep in mind that it's much more valuable as damage mitigation on someone with a high health pool, because 15% of 5,000 is much more than 15% of 3,000. So it can be used to save a Li Ming in a pinch, but usually you want to put that on a tank so that they can jump in there, take tons of damage while simultaneously pumping out tons of damage with the lightning bolts as well. Moving on to level 16, we're picking Rising Storm. Every time Lightning Shield damages an enemy hero, increase that Lightning Shield's damage by 20%, and that stacks up to 10 times. So this is really almost the defining talent for Rehgar now. Lightning Shield at its base level is very, very good, but Lightning Shield with Rising Storm is absolutely nuts. You'll see we started out at not 197 damage, which is what our Lightning Shield is currently hitting for. At a base level, Lightning Shield was hitting for 78 damage, and it just keeps climbing and going up, right? So 197 damage every second, potentially on 5 hero targets, is nuts. If you get that Johanna into the middle of the enemy team, she drops a Condemn to pull everybody in, and she's hitting 5 heroes with Lightning Shield, you're absolutely decimating the enemy team. This effect is just nuts. It's absolutely crazy. I actually can't believe it's still in the game, or they didn't tone it down a little bit. Rising Storm is what makes Rehgar so good. It gives him a huge power spike at level 16. You can, even as Rehgar yourself, you can dive 2 or 3 enemy heroes and come out okay, because you got Ancestral Healing, you're pumping out tons of damage, you can get away with your Wolf, you can get away with Earthbind Totem. The potential is almost limitless thanks to this strong, absolutely absurd effect that Rising Storm provides. So Rehgar's damage numbers are certainly going up, both on siege and on hero damage, thanks to this talent. And then finally, if all these shield talents weren't enough, we're actually going to add in one additional shield talent, and that is Storm Shield. Every 45 seconds, you can activate Storm Shield to give all nearby allies a 20% shield for 3 seconds. So remember, Lightning Shield was 15%, and now you've also got Storm Shield for 20%, so it takes us up to 5,400, something like a 900-point shield on Rehgar himself, and of course much more on heroes with even more health. This is just another way to give you damage mitigation and essentially healing on top of what you've already got. Rehgar is already a fantastic area of effect healer. Excuse me. And Storm Shield really just makes him even better. Farseer's Blessing is not very good as an upgrade. Rewind is actually a pretty solid talent, just because you can heal more often with it. But it does have a 60-second cooldown, and the total healing it provides, even with upgraded chain heals, is less than the healing that Storm Shield provides. So it's actually worse as far as damage mitigation is concerned than Storm Shield, and it's slower as well. So the potential of Rewind is significantly lower than Storm Shield, unless you really do need multiple Lightning Shields or Earthbind Totems for some reason, which I can't imagine too many compositions or scenarios where that makes a lot of sense. So there you have it. That is the Ultimate Rehgar build 2.0. Hopefully he doesn't get changed or nerfed so significantly again that we need another new video. But that's Electric Charge, Stormcaller, Blood and Thunder, Ancestral Healing, Earth Shield, Rising Storm, and then finally Storm Shield. If you have any questions about this build, be sure to ask them in the comments. If you have any questions about Rehgar in general, I'd love to offer them. I'm a level 20 Rehgar. He's my favorite hero. Play him a ton at rank 1 in Hero League, so I probably can answer your questions. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, game on.